What is up, everybody? Today we are doing the official world tour of Stotch Server Season 1. This is right at spawn. By the way, I am in creative for this. So we spawned right about here. This was a house that we built later to like mark where spawn was. It's not the first house we built. And then this is spawn. So this orange wall actually comes from the fact that when I first made this world, I first made this server. This is the first server I've ever made. I was automatically in creative, and at the time, only me and Chaz had a Minecraft Java Edition. Actually, Alec did too, but he wasn't on the server yet. So only me and Chaz were on the server, and Chaz was automatically in survival. For some reason, I was automatically put in creative, and so I was just messing around, and I placed all these blocks. These signs came later. I don't know why they're there. Bob, Stotch. That was, I think I did put that when I was in creative just to mark the start of the server. I remember we weren't even sure if it was going to be a survival server or a creative server. We were still kind of deciding on what we wanted to do, which is crazy to look back on now. This, I don't know why that says peak. Oh, what noise does a mouse's door make? Squeak. Haha, peak comedy. All right, I see what I'm doing there. I don't know why I mined this area out. I did that for some reason. This is the path that leads all the way back to the cube in the main area, which we'll get to. We'll get to that. Don't worry. This is our beautiful artwork. Over here is my vacation house. I built this later on. This is just a fun little thing I decided to build one day. Let's head over to the cube. I remember I built this pretty close to the end of the server. And then also this was Alec's first base he was going to build when he first joined. Johnny Furphy would not like this awful base. True. True. This server actually lasted from early January 2025 to July 30th was the last day of the server, 2025. So it lasted about half a year. And for the first like 4 months, it was just me and Chaz. We were all pretty terrible at Minecraft at the time. This was Gabe's house that after we got in a war, I'm gonna be 100% honest, I don't remember why, but we had a big battle and I blew up Gabe's house, and there was like a little path to it there too. This was our first base me and Chaz built, and it was just we went over here, we decided to settle in this jungle. We made this wall around everything. I remember at the time I thought like the wall was like a really big area, which is kind of crazy to think of now. Armor chest, most of it's leaf. I don't know. This used to be our valuables chest, I believe. There was a whole second floor that had our bedrooms in it that is now destroyed. I'm going to be 100% honest here. I don't remember. This might have been in one of our wars we had because we did have a few. This might have been in the one with Gabe. I don't totally remember. This is Harold's room. Oh, yeah, this is my pet parrot I had. His name was Harold. And then the cube, which I'm going to save that till a little later because the cube, there's so much to go over in there. This was Will's house, which he hasn't played on the server since season 2, like the start of season 2. This was his house. He said it was inspired by Travis Scott. I don't know. Pretty random. This was his bed. I don't know what's going on there, to be honest. But yeah, this was Will's house inspired by Travis Scott. But I say we go over Leaf's house. We'll get to the sped vapes, but first I want to just talk about the house. So there's these little rooms back here, which if you go down, I'm actually unsure what's down here. There's absolutely nothing. And then here up, we had this upstairs area that Rafe built on his house. Again, really nothing there. I'm not sure. We'll check the other side just in case, but yeah, just like I thought, there is nothing on either side of this. Pretty barren. So let's go inside Rafe's house. Not sure what happened here with the walls or why there's ladders everywhere. I think there's a chance that I maybe put these here as a prank. I'm not totally sure. I don't completely remember. This is just Rafe's stuff. I don't think there's anything interesting in there. The quote wall, which is iconic, we will get to that. Teamwork makes a dream work, but teamwork can also make a kid. True. And here we are, the infamous quote wall. I'm not going to read all of these because there's so many, but I'll just go through here so you guys can see how many of these there are. Some of these are pretty crazy. Some of these are pretty crazy looking at them now. Like this is a juicer of a glass. That's Christian Union Ministry. That's some ball knowledge right there. If you know, you know. sit down on. I don't even remember what some of these are. It's like these are either just jokes that are obviously jokes or weird references that we had. Like sit down on the Davenport, no clue what that meant. Is anything tickling your testicles? Sorry, I have to put on pants first. If the world turns its back on you, hump it. Okay, yeah, classic Rafe things. Then he made this little area later on. This has a bunk bed thing. I don't know what's going on there. This, okay, weird memory here. I'm gonna go into spectator for this. Yeah, I just remember. I think there used to be a secret chest back there. I just remembered that. I think he got rid of it though. This room is empty, although, yeah, I thought there was. There's a little secret under here which goes down into here. Me and Chaz built this one day. We just built this Leaf Township Furflandia. We just built this weird little thing. I need me. What is? I don't even know what half this stuff is. Over here was Rafe's valuables, which I'm sure he's taken a lot out of it. I think it did used to have more in here. I am a fucking dumbass named Wraith. He. JK, do not fear. I don't know what that is, but I remember this. Hello, I am Quintavious Rashid Jackson. Don't drink these grape Kool-Aid watermelon fried chicken. Rafe made this at one point. Rafe, you the best. Welcome to the Hood. Take a seat and get some food. So that was the Hood. I'm not totally sure what this was. I think this was like Rafe's kitchen or something. This just leads to the tunnels, which I will get to later. That was one of the last things we did on the server. Now for the final part of Rafe Space that I want to go over is Sped Vapes. So we got, you can just read these names. Sped Vapes, again, a weird thing that's kind of hard to explain if you don't know. But if you know, you know. OG came from one of the Bedrock creative worlds. If you know, you know. These are the OG. So, yeah. Fun fact, this was initially a in portal on the creative world, so that's ball knowledge. Oh yeah, by the way, I just want to say this. I put a hidden chest with diamonds in here. Wraith must have found it at some point. Someone must have found it, and they never said anything. And even at the end of the server, we asked around. No one knows who found it. I didn't take it, but there was a hidden chest like right here, underground, that at some point someone found and just said absolutely nothing about. So I just think that's kind of funny. By the way, try to ignore my names of items. We built this to display the dragon egg after we beat the Ender Dragon. Because one thing on the server was I had an insane amount of diamonds because for whatever reason, some of the lush caves under the jungle were just insane with the amount of diamonds were in them. All right, next up, I say we go into Alec's base. Alec had an iconic base. This was initially supposed to be a secret. By the way, worst house I've ever seen on a base, or worst roof I've ever seen on a house, I must say. That was pretty terrible. But if we head down here, this area is actually really cool. So this was his farming area. There was wheat farms here, and then he had an auto bamboo farm, which, oh yeah, it turned into sticks, and I believe he traded those with villagers. So that's pretty cool. Over here was some unfinished room. I think it was supposed to be like a display room that he never finished. That's a connection to the tunnels. That's just goes out into a pond. But this is pretty cool. Back here was his storage room, which just had all his stuff in, even though it's empty for whatever reason. Yeah. And then down there was just his mines, which we'll look at the tunnels underneath this in Spectator at the end. This was where we held our happy gas when we first got him. So that's pretty cool. I believe he died at some point. I have no memory of what this was used for, but it's there. I don't know why there's a wall there either. There's like some stuff like, I don't know why I built that. This is one of the oldest builds. Charlie built this at one point. It was just the outhouse. I don't know why we have that. This was, Gabe started building a base here, if I remember correctly, and then I just finished it and made it into this like castle thing that no one ever used and just existed here, and it was never useful because it was built when the cube existed. So like you could see it, like you couldn't really see anything off of it. It was kind of stupid. One other quick thing up here was Tommy G's hunting stand. More ball knowledge. There's a lava cast over there. I genuinely have no clue who built that. And this right here was, I believe, going to be Gabe's base right before the server ended. Over here we had the panda Bardus. I don't know. And then my horse Louie is a skeleton horse. He was pretty cool. That's what that enclosure over by my vacation house was meant for. And this grave honors our happy gas, the unnamed one. So I guess we had an unnamed happy gas who died at one point, and we have a grave for him. So this is all newer than when we built this. We have our nether wart farm over here. This was when Chaz was trying to get, I believe, music discs. So he had a whole setup for that. He's trying to collect every music disc in the game, I believe. I'm not sure if you ever completed it. This was our iron farm. This is my favorite iron farm design. I don't know who made it, and I don't care who made it. If I stole your design, who cares? IDC headquarters. This is the International Door Corporation headquarters. Um, I built a door museum in there, and it had like these like description as about how we got each door. It was really stupid. And then I was like, haha, I'm gonna make the International Door Corporation headquarters. But then I actually made it way too big, and I built this so long ago. This was before any of this was cleared out. This was probably the first build outside of the main area, and I never finished it. Like I built this all one day and just never did anything more than that. This Sully's Emporium of Many Things. At some point near the end of the server, it may have been in my battle with Gabe, I don't entirely remember, but for whatever reason, this was destroyed. And I'll just use spectator because I don't want to destroy anything. People who steal will be killed and have their inventory taken by me. To buy, replace item with diamond amount. So there used to be items there. And then military zone, do not enter or you die. I don't know what this is. Operations. There's a store. Hold up. I have to look at this. I don't remember this, to be totally honest, but here are my sales. This is crazy. So Gabe, 1 diamond, Charlie, 2 diamonds, Gabe, 1, sharpness 5, Charlie, 1, efficiency 5 book. And then these chests have nothing. These all have nothing. This was my mansion. So I built this house, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And then I realized I don't have use for all this space. I had a massive amount of chests here. I had that much paper. That's actually crazy. I had that much gunpowder too. These are some efficiency 5 books. Just a bunch of stuff. I had some cool armor trims. Just pretty awesome. Second floor, I remember, had literally nothing. These were random, like, guest bedrooms I made. And then the third floor was where my bed was, and that's where I slept. Then we have Chaz's base. So he was one of the last people to build a base separate from the cube, because initially me and him both lived in the cube, and we had, like, rooms in the cube. That was the initial plan, at least for the cube, was that everyone would live there. But he has the young cracker hoe. More iconic stuff. This is his storage area. This is his smelting room. This is his bedroom. He had an insane amount of steak and a ton of golden carrots. He had a mini fridge, so that's pretty cool. Some chorus fruit for some reason. I don't know why. And then this is for his store, I believe. These were like supplies for his store. I know he had all this white and red concrete because I was going to buy it from him before the server ended to build my fireworks shop. The fireworks shop was going to be like a firework rocket as the shape of the building. And then down here, this was his valuables, which again, there were more before. At some point, we got rid of a bunch of them. And then over here was Charlie's store. So the store's now closed. Still don't grief its history. I don't know when or why it closed. Don't steal stuff. Ask Charlie for anything. These are all the current items we sell. This had a store records too. Store records. It was all Gabe. Oh, there's more. I didn't check if there's more online. Right, 5 books for 2 emeralds. So he made sales here, and then I remember he had a donations bin, and there was just like random stuff in here. We basically just put our garbage in it. These were his items he had for sale at the time, which is they're just kind of random items. The greatest house ever. I don't know why that exists. What's this? I have no memory of this existing. This, I remember though. These were our villagers. The one problem with this world was the closest village was like 2,000 blocks away. It was so annoying to get the villagers here. And I remember one of the things that sparked my battle with Gabe, it was multiple things. It was he destroyed the Nether Hub, which we'll talk about, and he killed multiple villagers for some reason, and that was like a big deal because these were our only villagers and we really couldn't go anywhere for anything else. And then another thing is those technically weren't the only villagers because I made a secret area down here with villagers with like way better enchants for sale. I think a lot of them are gone now. They were just like it was so haphazard. They were just like sitting here. Like here's my sharpness 5 villager and fire aspect 2, infinity, fortune 3. They're just like sitting here in this little room. It was pretty terrible design. This was another random house. I'm not sure if this leads to the tunnels. Hold up, we'll see. There's this weird dark room down here, and then that definitely leads to the tunnels. Okay, I believe I built this. I'm pretty sure I remember building this. I would just build random stuff sometimes when I was bored. This, your face makes me so hard, so true. Was Chaz's base. It was actually pretty awesome. Unfortunately, the server, we decided to end the server when he was building this, so we never got to see the final product. But as you can see, it looked like it was going to be pretty epic. So unfortunately, we never got to see the final edition. He had his own like beach. It's pretty cool. I'm going to be honest, kind of sad that it never came to fruition. Now this is the worst house, the Rully house with Yao Ming. Was built by me and Rafe, hence Rully. And it was basically we just decided to grab random blocks and build a house. Don't press that button or that one. We had a piece of clay in a little thing right there. We had this stuff. It was amethyst. There was wheat on the ground. There was for some reason warped fungus everywhere. And then here was our cow, Yao Ming. This was the dumbest thing ever. I honestly don't know why we built this. This was the original enclosure for the villagers when we first got them from a village way thousands of blocks over there. This over here was Chaz's vacation villa. I remember I said, I'm going to build my vacation villa. He was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to build mine too. And then he built his like 20 blocks away from his other house. So it's barely a vacation. His other house is right there. So I wanted to just get to this. This is the Nether. This was the Nether base, as you can see by these signs. Temporary Nether base because Gabe, for literally no reason at all, destroyed the previous base made by Charlie. For some reason, Charlie made this really awesome base. It was out of quartz. It actually looked really good. It was one of the best Nether bases I've ever seen us build. And Gabe blew it up like a bunch. It was bad. If we go into spectator, you can still like see the damage under here from just how much explosions Gabe did and how deep it went. It was overkill. He did this randomly out of nowhere too, and that was what sparked our battle, I believe. I could be remembering this slightly wrong, to be honest, because it was a while ago. We had these random second and third floors for like literally no reason. I don't know why they existed. These are the netherite mines. There were public netherite mines and private ones, I believe. I'm not totally sure where the private ones were, though. And then this led out to this area, which was where all the different stuff, as you can see, Bastion, Other Bastion, Fortress, all this other stuff was from. There's so many different things. Nether Fortress, Alternative Route, and the goat statue. I'm not sure what that is. Beware of being dead. Wow. And tunnel settlement. I remember that tunnel settlement. I might go there right now. This was the tunnel settlement. My plan was to build a bunch of these homes like underground in the nether. I thought that would be a really cool idea. I built this one and then no others, and this was Probably like a month before the end of the server, I built this, and I completely forgot about this. Everyone completely forgot about this until on the very last day we put everyone in creative mode. And we just decided to explore and see what we had forgotten about and what secret bases there were. And I believe it was Chaz that randomly found this, and I was like, I completely forgot about that. And one thing I just remembered was that there was a secret that has now been destroyed too, and it was a bunch of quartz. And I remember I was collecting the quartz here because I wanted Chaz to rebuild the OG Nether base that we had after Gabe destroyed it, and it needed a ton of quartz, so I was just collecting a bunch for him. I remember this bastion we tried to raid. When we had like no gears, like the first time we ever went in the Nether, and we got destroyed. And the worst thing is I think it's called a bridge bastion. This is the one which has like no loot. It sucked. We didn't get anything from it. We got like some gold, and that was about it. We thought it was a treasure bastion, and we were about to get like netherite trims, but we didn't get anything. My magnum opus. I don't know what this is. Let's go see. I think that this is my magnum opus. It's just this with a chest with 42. Uh, we really were just doing stupid stuff. And that was pretty much all the stuff that we had in the Nether. There's not really much else to show. So, again, before we show the iconic, the legendary cube, I first want to go and look at some secret bases. With a few interesting secret bases, so I just want to highlight those. This was Alex's secret base. He made this pretty early on. We found it pretty early on, and then I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot about it and basically rediscovered it. And it really does not have much in it, if I'm being honest, but it does have his mine and some resources, and it was mainly just a second mine for him. Now, this is kind of a secret base and kind of not a secret base at the same time. It's secret in the fact that I didn't tell anyone about it. It's relatively close to the main area. It's clearly not like hidden at all. But I just one day, because I was bored, built this massive tower. There's a bed there for some reason. All the floors are empty except for I believe the top floor, which had, again, just random resources in it. I built this base randomly out of nowhere, and I believe nearing the end of the server at one point, either Rafe or Gabe found it. And finally, among the secret bases, not to brag, but I had the best secret base. It really doesn't come close. I will say Alec found it while I was building it, and this was at the very beginning. It was basically one room, and he completely forgot about it. And I built so much of it over the course of the entire life of the server. It was pretty crazy. These were just left open too. Somehow no one ever found them. It was just these two little up and downs that I built right here. These two little water elevators. There was one time Gabe very nearly found it when the locator bar was first added, because it wasn't at the start of the server and I didn't turn it off, but when it was first added, I forgot to be crouching in here, and Gabe almost found it, but I crouched at just the right time, and he dug down really close, but not quite on it. I just so happened to build this in the luckiest spot. I swear, I built down in a random area. Turns out there just so happened to be a zombie spawner right here. So I could just have my own little personal XP farm right here. It didn't work the greatest, but it's still awesome. I had cows down here because everyone would kill all the other cows. I had my own wheat farm, carrots, beets because I felt like it, and an auto pumpkin farm. And then over here was other cool stuff. This is my secondary bedroom, which I slept in down here. This used to hold a bunch of valuables. It doesn't anymore. I have a different place where I held my valuables. Then I had this. This was my auto smelter. So as you can see, items, fuel, and then back here was the way it all worked. I made this way too overly complicated for what I was trying to do, but basically there would be a dispenser that would shoot out all the items in here. They would go up to here where they'd be poured into here and into the mine carts that would deliver them to the furnaces. I remember when I first built this, I was so proud of it. I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. Nowadays, I mean, it's not the craziest redstone build possible, but it's still pretty awesome. And then this was my storage room. I barely filled up the chest, to be honest. I just had some stuff in here And it looks like that was about it. I do believe there was some more before the server ended. Like I said, when the server ended, there was a lot of destruction and a lot of removing of valuable items, so a lot of those aren't there anymore, which is kind of unfortunate. Down here, I wish this was closed, but this was my vault, so you would open it with this, and then when you were inside, these were my valuables. I remember at one point I sold IOUs, and it was literally a scam. And the way it worked was like, it was like, I'll give you 2 diamonds for an IOU. And then the IOU, I was like, well, I can literally just make you do anything with that. I could make you give me a stack of diamonds with that. It was really dumb. But that was the thing I did. And then I would kill people if they didn't accept them. So I have Charlie IOU and Gabe IOU. I have a bunch of trial keys because this base also just so happened to be right next to a trial chamber, which is crazy. And I had an insane amount of diamonds, as you can see. I didn't really have that much extra netherite though, which is kind of crazy. I also had plenty of I also had plenty of enchanted books that I was saving for a time where I might need to use them. Down here, the long-awaited trapdoor exhibit is now open. We'll get to that. We'll go first on my bedroom. By the way, we said bedroom. I don't remember why. That was some weird joke I had with Charlie. This has really nothing now, but this was my main bedroom for a very long time. This is my valuables chest for a really long time until I eventually moved into my mansion and then moved all my valuables to the vault. This, I quite frankly do not know what was in there. Up here, I was just this. I know it was always just that. And then this was my natural room, which I'm going to be totally honest was a complete rip-off of what Charlie did because Charlie built a natural room and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then I ripped him off but didn't do it as good. There are a ton of secret rooms in the cube. I'll just say that. Like this was one. I am the third. Why must you disturb my sleep? Why must you break the walls of my home? Why, oh, why are you? This was some weird little thing I made when I was psychotic or something. I don't know. Probably made this at like 1 in the morning after mining all night. Is this some fear of the unknown? Why are you here? I think Chaz put that there when he found it. He put that there, I believe. Um, then across the hall from my house was, or my bedroom was Charlie's bedroom, which these weren't bedrooms. These were just like entire bases in here. He had his stuff here. He lived here for a lot longer than I did. He built that tower house nearing the end of the server, and then obviously he never got to build his mansion. And then here it was, the green room. I thought this was so cool. I tried to copy it. Obviously, Chaz's was way better. This, there was a thing here. So basically, this button here, I linked it up to open a door here. I built this all when Charlie was on vacation, I believe. And if you went in here, it would blow up. And I tried to see if Charlie would find it, and he didn't find it until like after the server was up for 5 months and everyone who was on the server was on it. By that point, he randomly found it and killed himself, and I actually felt so bad because I think I gave him a bunch of diamonds to make up for it because that was meant to kill him when he had like iron armor and like nothing else. And the second story of Chaz's base, he had this little cactus farm, which I believe was for his shop, and other than that, he had a melon farm. And the the door museum. So hold on, I'm gonna go creative for this. This was the dumbest thing ever. I built this. This is a vintage 1968 jungle door harvested just outside the cube. I was like, haha, what if I built a museum for the dumbest thing ever? So I was like, I'm gonna build a museum for doors. So that's what this is. It's just a bunch of doors and it's a museum. It's really, really stupid. I don't know why this exists. Then the big thanks to the IDC International Door Committee, not corporation, for funding this establishment, providing some of the rarest doors. Notable members include Charlie and Bob Butters. I don't know what I was doing. This was a door maze I built because why not? And in here, what does it say? No, welcome to the experience of a life. Jeez, welcome to the experience of a lifetime. Be taken away in this. A showcase of a variety of dark oak doors. Wow, this is truly life changing. And then somewhere, I think yeah, trapdoor exhibit now open. That's the exit, and then the trapdoor exhibit was up here, and here it is. So, the NTDCA, National Trapdoor Crafting Agency, the NTDCA is dedicated to providing the highest quality crafted doors in the overworld to all types of players. These are like insane. Like, look at the nether ones, I believe. Where are the nether ones? I think they were removed. I remember I used to have nether ones, and they had like the most insane descriptions for them. This TD was made from the first tree harvested in the jungle. This is a bamboo TD found at a dig site in dating back 2,400 years. I don't even know what I was doing. I was on something. And then out here, this was our mob farm. It was a three or four, I think, three-layer mob farm that we used here, and everyone used it. And keep in mind, like, we had elytras, we didn't have a creeper farm or anything. This was the only way to get gunpowder, so it was very inconvenient. Not a fun thing to use. And this is where you would AFK for it, just in this little glass box. It was a very not fun thing to deal with. Then we have this area labeled Greedy T-Rex. So this was just this weird little area I built that kind of kept going. This was originally supposed to be closed off. This was supposed to be a secret little thing. I don't know why that's like impossible to read. Over here we have some random chests, and then up here was there was something in here, I think. Yes, in here. There is a secret room, and you have found the least secret room ever. So I guess this is the least secret of all the rooms. Or maybe everyone found it. I don't remember the story behind that. And then I believe there was a thing blocking this off, and then words of wisdom. And it just says, everybody's touching me. You found a secret. If your name isn't Charlie, open the barrel. I don't know why Charlie wasn't allowed to open the barrel, but for some reason he wasn't. I think there's another secret back here. Nope, I am just wrong. Also, just remember this. Charlie had this secret in his house. It's really weird. It had this is part of Charlie's base, the roller coaster and then gold armor because logic, I guess. I don't know what we were doing. This is the potato room. I just built a massive potato room. Time for a vibe check, chat. I don't that sounds like something Charlie would have put. But this is just a massive potato farm I had. So that was cool. Then in here was just a room with no purpose at all, and no one knows why I built it. And then over here, this led over to the pool, which was initially supposed. So this is kind of a long story. Initially, it was supposed to be like scary in like a liminal space. There were no lights in here, and there was water, and it was spooky. But then, at some point, I removed all the water for some reason and put lights in it. And then there was an incident where this whole area got blown up, which I will talk about. But that kind of ruined the effect. And then there's also a door over here that led to this area, which just has this little thing here, lost here, and a dick, because of course. And then a bunch of random rooms that are here with like no clear purpose. I don't know why these are here. There's a random ladder up there. And then there's this like a restaurant I made and it had a bunch of jokes. What was it? Quote well, it was called Rosto's Roast, I think. Quote wall, a collection of quotes by Kalmaye M. Rosto. The juicier, the better. You can't spell Rostov Oblast, Russia without Rosto. I always wanted a place where big slabs of meat are chucked at you. Meat, 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 meat. Meat and tax fraud, it's basically bread and butter. I know where your family and where your kids live. And then there's Kalmaye M. Rosto's grave. He apparently lived to 103. Wow. Miras Moval. I don't know what that is. There's a random bedroom. I don't know why this exists. There's another random bed thing. There's another random door. There's more. There's so many random doors. Why does any of this exist? There's the Hall of TG. Now this is pretty epic. Got TG's collection. Feel free to add anything. It's got part of the tree that fell on his house, TG's painting brush, the package, tickets for the 2000 Pacers, TG's wallet, 50-pound recurve bow, and 90-pound recurve bow. There's some slight ball knowledge required to understand this. Rendition of Kathy's horse. Sully, you could teach us that. So yeah. These are just like some quotes from TG, if you know who TG is. If you don't, I mean, what are you doing? The reason this got blown up was there was an area right here at the bottom of this random staircase with this block, and someone kept breaking it, and it was really annoying because you'd be able to see it from down here. It was like really annoying. I'd have to go up and fix it. It's not that block. That's another person who did that. And someone kept breaking it. And I don't remember who it actually was who was breaking it. And then I put a sign and it said, if you break this block, you're gonna die, so you better not break it. And I put an observer under it and a ton of TNT, like a ton of TNT. It was an insane amount. And Alec, who wasn't the one who was breaking the block, he said he was the one, and I believe him. He wasn't the one who was breaking the block, just broke it because of the sign and then got killed by it and lost a bunch of his stuff in the explosion, and it just blew everything up. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy incident. Over here is the maze. We for some reason had a maze. I don't know why. And then there's this weird room here with a weird thing there. I don't know why. Like some of the stuff we just built because we were bored. There's this thing that goes up here, and then there's this weird thing with it used to be on fire, I believe. For some reason it's not, and there's a zombie in it. Like there's just a bunch of this random stuff. There's this random area here. Why does this exist? I don't know. Um, I bet there's I don't remember, but I bet there's stuff up here. There's actually not. I do remember this. This was the hard to access place. It was just this little thing in the corner. There wasn't that path leading to it. I built that one of the first things I ever built, and that was just there, and I built it for no reason, and that's pretty much it. The only reason I built it, and then this, which was just like a cool little thing I built. And initially the idea was you'd be able to like look at it from all the different levels, but since we only ended up building like 1.5 levels, you couldn't. So yeah. This, which I forgot to talk about, was Alex base. He was building a mansion. He never got to finish it. I mean, I assume he would have done more exterior work. If he didn't, it probably would have looked pretty bad, but I assume he was doing more exterior work. It looks like it was going to be really big, but he never finished it. Under here is the quarry, which this was where we got all the cobblestone for the cube. As you can see, it is just massive, the amount of stuff we had to dig out. It's pretty crazy now that I look at it. And then I remember, and then eventually, instead of just digging out this one big area, just to make it slightly more interesting, we started digging tunnels. So there were just a ton of these tunnels, and these tunnels were just everywhere and everywhere. And then I decided, hey, you know what a good idea would be? What if literally every single structure on this main area of the server was connected by a tunnel? And I did that, and it took a really long time. But that's what all those ladders you see, they're connecting them all to the tunnels. And then if you look through the tunnels, there's a bunch of weird little things I built as like Easter eggs. Like this, here's one. I built this bedroom here. And this, I actually remember why I built this. This was my emergency plan if Gabe were to kill me. This was before I built the vault in my secret base, and so if I were to like be killed, I'd end up here, and that was my like escape plan, and that was the plan if Gabe ever came to kill me or someone. But there are just tons of these crisscrossing everywhere. They went everywhere. Not a lot of them had anything important. There's a random infinite water source I built there, probably because I needed it at some point. This, what is this? I have no memory. I think I maybe built this. I genuinely have no clue who built this, but like I said, there's just random stuff like this everywhere, and no one really remembers who built it. There's one random thing that goes up there. Like, why does this exist? Why do we need this? It goes over here. There's more stuff over there, but it doesn't lead anywhere. There's stuff over here. We just built like this. It just turns back on itself. Why did I build this? Down in Alex Mines, there was another level of these, of just like tunnels going everywhere and just crisscross everywhere. And one thing I remember for a fact, if I can find it, was Gabe had a secret base down here that was in Alex Mines. Here it is. That me and I believe Ray found one day. And yeah, nothing is here, Gabe. And it was just back in here. There was a bunch of cows. There was wheat. There was one villager. let's see what he had to offer. He had really nothing that crazy to offer. And that was basically all that was left. And at some point, nothing is here, Gabe. At some point, me and Charlie did something. I think we broke these blocks to let a bunch of lava down. I'm not totally sure, but I know we messed with it at some point and Gabe moved away because of us messing with his base too much. Then there's these tunnels. These are all mining tunnels. I don't know why this exists. Why does this here? I mean, Alec built this stuff. I did not build this. This was mostly Alec who built these. And that is a tour of pretty much the entire Stotch Season 1 world. The only parts I'm missing are a few random secret bases thousands of blocks away that were just holes in the ground with a few chests and really nothing to offer. But that is pretty much the entire world, so I hope you enjoyed.